Welcome, everybody, to the Reading Writing Corner. I'm Leanne, the host for this review of Midnight by Laura Adrian. This book is part of the Midnight Breed series, and here is the blurb about the series. And if you have watched all 6 other episodes for Midnight Breed, you might be a little tired of hearing this, but it is part of the review. Part human, part otherworldly, the breed has lived among humankind for thousands of years, maintaining a tentative peace built on secrecy, power, and the dark justice carried out by the formidable warriors of the Order. But now, a blood war within the race is set to ignite. Vampires are going rogue in startling numbers, feeding without discretion, killing humans in the streets. It is up to the Order to stop the spreading threat of rogue domination, and in doing so, each of the warriors will be forced to confront private demons, darkest secrets, deepest fears. Some will know triumph, some will know loss. Each warrior will count on one: love. When it finds him, will often come at the worst possible moment. The least likely woman will bring each of these powerful males to his knees. What made me read this book? Seriously? It is the 7th book in the series, and I need to know more. The blurb for the book itself. In a frozen wilderness steeped in darkness, the lines between good and evil, lover and enemy, are never black or white, but drawn in shades of midnight. Something inhumane is stalking the frigid Alaskan wilds, leaving unspeakable carnage in its wake. For bush pilot Alexandra McGuire, the killings stir memories of a horrific event she witnessed as a child and evoke in her the inexplicable sense of otherness she has long felt within herself but never fully understood, until a darkly seductive stranger with secrets of his own enters her world. Sent from Boston on a mission to investigate the savage attacks and stop the slaughter, vampire warrior Cade has his own reasons for returning to the frigid, forbidding place, his birth. Haunted by a secret shame, Cade soon realizes the stunning truth of the threat he faces, a threat that will jeopardize the fragile bond he has formed with the courageous, determined young woman who arouses his deepest passions and most primal hungers. But in bringing Alex into his world of blood and darkness, Cade must confront both his own personal demons and the even greater evil that could destroy all he holds dear. Not only is this a romance novel for the 2 main characters, one side character is introduced that will eventually have their own romance main story. The setup of the characters took place in the beginning of the book at a new location. Their motives were pretty clear. And if you didn't know what the new location was, it was Alaska. Jenna just wanted to survive, while Alex liked being bullheaded and charging ahead full steam. Their backgrounds are detailed enough to know their reasons for the way they react the way they do. The characters moved the plot along because without their actions, nothing would have happened. The genre is, of course, paranormal romance. The reactions are normal for everyday humans and vampires, I guess, because I don't know, I've never met a vampire. If vampires exist, I apologize. If you don't, well, you don't exist. Their problems are real to them and make them feel and react in a normal manner. Did this live up to my expectations? Yes, good mystery, romance, and fighting scenes. Which character did I relate to the most? None of them this time around. There wasn't anybody I could really feel attached to in any way, shape, or form, because I've never had no childhood trauma like what Alex experienced, and definitely no boyfriend problem. What was more important, the characters or plot? Like I said earlier, the characters are still important, but the plot advances in ways that I did not understand until later in the books, as in more books later, because something happens in this book that doesn't feel right, and it's just out of the left wing for the way she set up everything so far. But it is still all about the characters with some plot thrown into the mix. So the plot is still back burner, but she did throw in some twists that weren't expected. There are multiple voices, and it does not affect my reading of the story. The only issue I do have is when there is no name given to the character that the POV is. It does leave me wondering whose eyes I am seeing through, and it does happen in this one. Yeah, it does happen in this story. There is, I think, 1 or 2 POVs that at first you don't understand whose it is or why it's there. And I do like the mystery of it all, but at the same time, tell me who I am reading through. I know, so I can connect with this character in some way, shape, or form. I'm going to end this part of the review with, should you go and read this story/series? Yes. If you enjoy more romance and plot, some mystery dashing between pages, and vampires from outer space, you will definitely like this story and series. If you do not, well, I'm sorry. We can find you something else that you might enjoy. Can't tell you what that is, but you might enjoy something out there. Go and drop me a like, a comment, or even your wonderful hard-earned subscription if you want to see more, if you think I deserve it. And leave if you do not want to be spoiled. Like, bye. I will see you later. Go watch another video. Go read a book. Go watch your favorite TV show so you don't get spoiled if you don't want to be spoiled. Okay, folks, are the people who don't want to be spoiled gone? Good, great, wonderful. Welcome to the spoiler review of Shades of Midnight. In the first few chapters, you can meet the main characters, the side characters, and the important reoccurring characters. So, the characters that were in this, that were important. Alexander Alex McGuire. I spelled her name wrong here. Touché for me. With a touch, she can tell if someone is being honest or not. Jenna Tucker Darrow, not a brainmate at all. Gotta stress this. She was kidnapped by the Ancient and given the DNA of the Ancient by a chip tech within her neck. How that's possible, or why that's possible, or even why the Ancient wanted to do that is beyond my understanding for this book, or even further, because like this is the last book this Ancient is in, and the Ancient does not come back, like, at all. So what was the Ancient thinking when he did this? You have Seth, who is Cade's brother, and then you have the Ancient, who is very curious about Jenna, hurt, hungry, and he dies at the end of the book thanks to Cade and Seth. Peter Arnold, he is a druggie at the beginning of the book who does pass away. Zach Tucker, Jenna's brother, who was the ex to Alexander Alex McGuire, or somebody who wanted to be with her. I don't really remember which way it was. Here, Cade's father, of course, his mother's in it, but you don't actually get her name, I believe, and if you do, I don't remember it. Teddy Tom, he was a teen that found his entire family dead, and then he was slaughtered too. Poor Teddy Tom. There are several POVs within this story. You get to see Cade's, Alex's, Teddy Tom's, Skeeter Arnold's, the Ancients, Seth's, Zach Tucker's, and Jenna Tucker Darrow. You got to see all of them. All of their point of views and everything like that. But the Ancients was a little weird in that at first you didn't know it was the Ancient, and then you didn't know it was Seth, and so you had to guess and put together the pieces as you read the book. Because in the end, I did figure out that Seth was the point of view that he was not named, and so wasn't the Ancient. And so that mystery there had to be solved for me. My favorite character was Alex because she wanted answers for her people. And her people being in the Alaskan bush, because that's where she worked and lived. And she wanted answers for why there were people dying all of a sudden and everything. My most disliked character was Kier because he held too much to his chest and blamed Cade for Seth's death, even though it wasn't Cade's fault. It was his brother, and he wasn't at fault for what happened. Their ability to become close with an animal is really the reason why Seth died, because he became too entranced and too into being with the animal that he was connected to, that he never really could resurface from it. It was a dangerous power, and he used it too much and could not back out of it, and thus it complicated his life and made him danger not only to everybody else around him but to himself. It was told in chronological order for the most part. There was a flashback or two to explain in detail about a character and their reasons for acting strange. The language was appropriate for the type of story it was. There was a good amount of foreshadowing and suspense within the book too. It held you, especially when Jenna got kidnapped by the Ancient. Like, that had a lot of suspense in it, and some foreshadowing for future books. It does really well. The background of the new characters was detailed enough for the ones that briefly appeared and for the ones that became a part of the group of warriors. Like, she gives enough background for you to understand a lot of things. Like, Teddy Tom left his home at night to go hang out with friends because he was restricted by his parents as a goody two-shoe and everything. And then when he came home in the morning, his parents and everybody was dead. And it broke him. But then he died too. So he wasn't broken for very long. The title of the book meant different shades of a character. One can never know all sides of someone, which is true because Alex has made her into a different type of person in her future, as well as Cade having several different shades of himself. And Seth helping in the end was something you didn't really see coming. The cover of the book is about the fact that most of it takes place in Alaska and about Cade and Alex getting together. What stood out as memorable was Cade's fear for his powers, but he still used them to do good, such as hunting down the Ancient, because they found out that that's where the Ancient was in Alaska, and they had to go deal with it before Dragos got his hands back on the Ancient and continued his breeding of breedmates with the Ancient and, them dying. My favorite passage from the story is, Seth wasn't perfect, Cade said. God knows, I'll never be, but I loved my brother, and I owe him everything for what he did today. And what that means is that Seth was lost to his instincts of the wolf or animal that he was using his powers for. And even though he was lost, he still saved Cade, Alex, Jenna, and everything with going over a cliff with the Ancient and killing the Ancient, because Cade did go confirm that the Ancient was dead, and Seth did kill the Ancient, but Seth also died because of it. My favorite quote, you have to stand up and face the things that scare you the most. Because fear is real, and it's very hard to overcome, but the only way you're going to overcome fear and move forward in your life is to stand up and face the things that scare you the most, make you afraid. What I thought about the ending of the book, Cade is a good man that should never have been casted in his brother's shadow just because he was not as good as Seth at everything that they did. Also, Jenna, that poor woman. But I am so excited that the Ancient is dead, so Dragos cannot continue with that plan of his that he had. No more breedmates. We're going to be forced to breed with this Ancient and carry children that they'll never be able to see again because they're taken away and you're not allowed to see them ever again. What book or series did it remind me of? The Night Walker series by Jacqueline Frank. And yes, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I will eventually review the Night Walker series by Jacqueline Frank, but it's the F's, I'm in the A's/B's right now, or what I have on my bookshelf. My bookshelf, if you can't see, there's a bunch of books up there. Like, I have a lot of books, and there's some books sitting sideways because I'm reorganizing my books a little bit. So yeah, I have a boatload of books, and some of them have series that aren't even complete yet. So yes, there's a lot up there. Yes, I have a lot to go through. Yes, I have so much more to give you. So hopefully you'll stick around and enjoy my reviews. This book, as you know, is part of a series. There are 27 books in total, 18 for the main series, 10 for the first overarching plot, and 8 more for the rest of the overarching plot that's in both series. And the rest are the novellas, which of course includes the prequel, A Touch of Midnight, and of course the rest, which start after book 9, which I'll be able to start discussing those. Yay! Soon. Because this is book 7. So when we get to book 9, I'll be able to discuss a little bit about the ones that come after. First one that comes after. I will see you next illusion.